Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to be talking about my QB rankings for Dynasty Fantasy Football based on my knowledge through way too many leagues and watching football way too much and loving the sport way too much. Let's get into it. Roll the intro. First up, we have Josh Allen. I don't have to really explain this too much, but in this tier, he is a standalone guy. He has been the QB 3 or better for 7 straight years. And if you talk beyond that, he has been a top 10 quarterback for the last 8 years. That is enough for me to say he's the bona fide number one. He's going to be the number one going into this next year, and I don't even have to talk about it anymore. First up in this next tier is Drake May. He just got A.J. Brown as his bona fide number one. I know he's 29 years old, but he's going to be helping him out tremendously. Before that, he had Kayshon Boutte and a bunch of other guys that neither of us really remember. He had Hunter Henry, he had Hendo out of the backfield, Ramondre, but he is going to be my QB2. Next up, Lamar Jackson. He has been a QB 10 or higher in the last 7 years, minus last year, but that was because of injury. Now, a lot of people are comparing this to Cam Newton. I don't think it's a one-to-one situation with Cam Newton. I think that Lamar Jackson will make the bounce back, even though he is getting up there in age at 29. It doesn't really matter. He's kind of dialed back the rushing a little bit. Yes, you may be saying that takes his dynasty value down a peg, but that's why he's number 3 on this list, not in the Super Saiyan tier. He has come down a little bit, but I think he should still be valued number 3. Next up is Jaden Daniels, someone that was perceived as the darling that Drake May was last year, but the year before. The reason why Jaden Daniels is 4 is because he finished, QB 17, only playing 7 games. And people have concerns with injury. That was the same concern coming out of college, and that is why he's number 4. Someone that I think could pass him if he realizes his potential and was in the same draft class as Jaden and Drake May is Caleb Williams, Mr. Man Cover athlete himself. He finished as QB7 this last year, and that was the first year in a new offense with Ben Johnson, and I think the ceiling could be even higher than that. He has the potential to be QB2 or QB1 in a few years when Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are out of the fray. He's just got to realize it with Ben Johnson. Next up is an old reliable that is kind of dropping through this tier that was up there because he can't finish a season. But when he finishes a season in 6-point or even 4-point, he is a top 10 quarterback. In 2021, he finished QB 9 overall, and that was coming off a year where he only finished with 10 games in his rookie season. He then followed that up 2022 as QB 4. Now, you may be saying he's 29 as alongside Lamar Jackson without the rushing upside and the injury problems. Exactly. That is why he's in the bottom of this layup list, and I think he still belongs in this tier, but he could easily fall into the next tier, which we will talk about, which is Patty Mahomes, perhaps the best quarterback in the NFL as far as winning football games and progressing the rock down the field. Josh Allen is a do-it-all kind of guy. Patrick Mahomes is a do-it-all kind of guy, but with the ability to actually win the chip. No shots at Josh Allen. I'm just saying Patrick Mahomes has done it before. He's dueled out Tom Brady, and as far as fantasy, he has finished top 10 in 6 seasons, and one of those being last year. And even his years where he didn't finish top 10, he finished QB 11 and QB 14 in those respective years. Yes, he's coming off a pretty bad injury, but if you saw him golfing the other week, if you see the grit and determination that Patrick Mahomes shows, that's why he belongs in the 3-point shooters at the top. He is an aging vet at this point, and some people might say foundational, cornerstone, whatever you want to say in the market. He is going up there still in dynasty football drafts. Jackson Dart, a young upstart, and he might have injury concerns going forward. He may be the next Joe Burrow, but just with rushing upside. I think this kid is going to be in this tier. This is kind of a projection. He finished QB 14 in fantasy last year, and that was only finishing 14 games. Now, in this next year, hopefully he'll have neighbors. He will have Scadaboo, hopefully, but they didn't play together, and they have John Harbaugh as head coach. I think they can make it to the next level, so that's why he's in this tier. Next up is Jalen Hurts, someone that is overhated, underrespected. Even in my video talking about Jalen Hurts and how he's underrated on TikTok, people still thought I was being a hater. Now, I am not being a hater on this guy for putting him in this tier. He has been a top 5 quarterback 3 of the last 5 seasons. He's been a top 10 At 2 of those seasons, he is a producing quarterback. The tush push is still around. He's still going to get the goal line touchdowns. He's still an offense that has good bookend tackles, a good running game, a good head coach, and a good defense. He will produce. I don't know why people hate on this guy so much. I get it. He's got some ugly deep balls, but he's also got one of the best deep balls in the NFL. If you watch the tape, you know that this guy still has what it takes to be a relevant fantasy football asset, and I am going to take him in the 4th, 5th round in these dynasty drafts if he keeps falling to me, and I'm going to win leagues doing so. Next up is the guy that apparently cut his hair but didn't actually for the reveal video, Trevor Lawrence. He's got the flow, he's got Liam Cohen, and I think this is going to be a top 10 offense next year. And it's not just going to be because of Tuden. You're going to have a quarterback leading the charge, being who we thought he was going to be, and he is going to produce fantasy asset prices that are above where you're taking him, dynasty fantasy football leagues, and beyond where he is priced. He is a top 5 quarterback last year, and he's shown upside in 2 of his last 5 seasons at 11 and 17. And I think he can get into that top 5 again, but he's in this 3-point shooters because it's unrealized, and he may not make it there, so I'm going to be a little precautious and keep him in this tier. Now, someone that is a very what if guy, the what if this, the what if that, Justin Herbert. I don't think you could say he's lived up to the expectation, but if you look at it fantasy-wise, he finishes QB8, he finishes QB2, he finishes QB15, 12, 13, 11, right? Those are good numbers for a QB1 in almost every single season, and now he's getting Mike McDaniel on top of getting Jim Harbaugh last year. He's got weapons between Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnson, Trey Harris, you name it, Amari and Hampton. He's got everything. Now you may be arguing it's going to be a run-first offense. He's still going to be a fantasy-producing quarterback. He could do RPO. He could do a lot of things at the QB position to get you fantasy points, and I think he will continue to do that. Let's go to our next tier. Starting off with Brock Purdy. Now, if anyone hates him as a Seattle Seahawk, it's me. But he's a lovable, Mr. Irrelevant, yada, 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 right? He finished top 10 in the last 3 seasons, and I cannot ignore that. That's why he's in the top of this tier. He's got weapons and Mike Evans, and Ricky Pearsall, and Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey, and he's got the weapons. He's going to throw them. He's going to make it work. Kyle Shanahan is his coach. There's no way he doesn't finish top 10 again. On to the next guy. His name is Bo Nix, and he's finished top 10 in both his starting 2 seasons, right? So he's got a good coach. The situation didn't change much other than the fact that he got Jalen Waddle. He is going to be a fantasy-producing asset for years to come, even though he's an older asset. He's 26 already, but he's probably got 3 to 5 years left of producing at a top 10 level. When we're working in a 2 to 4 window of winning fantasy leagues, he is the kind of guy I think of on who's going to give me points reliably every single week. It's Bo Nix. He's going to get you a top 10 finish. I know he's coming off a nasty ankle injury, but I believe he can still produce at a top 10 level. Maybe it's a little sketchy at the beginning, but that's also why he's in the high-end flex and not in 3-point or layup. So, on to the next guy, Jordan Love. Now, I don't really love this guy in fantasy. I kind of put him here based on projections. I think he could easily be at the bottom of this tier, but I do think he's above Baker Mayfield and Kyler currently, as far as fantasy relevancy, age, all that. He's 27, even though he sat for a few years. He's got a top 10 finish. He's been a QB17, QB21, spread the ball around, but they do have a new offensive coordinator. I know LaFleur is still the head coach, so the system will still be the same, but there's a chance it could be slightly different with less receivers, more concentrated targets, and I think he could solidify somewhere in this tier. Next up is Baker Mayfield. He is your kind of old reliable. Get him in the 7th to 9th round in dynasty leagues. You're not going to hate it or love it. He could honestly be in the old reliable tier, and I can move Dak up, but I would much rather have some people in this next tier I'll talk about in a minute over love Baker and Kyler, but these guys are kind of solidified in value in this high-end flex. He has a top 4 finish too, so that helps. He has some contract negotiation problems, so I don't love him much there, but into the next guy, Kyler Murray. Now, this was a 101 pick. He was touted as the Lamar Jackson of his period, like with Lamar. He was talked about in that light because of the rushing upside. He had a top 10 finish in 5 years straight to start his career, and that is enough to kind of give him that value. Because even in his worst season, he finished 12th, and then last year he played 5 games and still finished 22 in PPR games that he played. So I think he could easily move himself right next to Bo Nix at the middle of this tier, and maybe even the next tier if he keeps it up. He is 28 years old, so I don't have age restraints there. He's probably got 2 to 4 years, and we're going to win leagues in 2 to 4 years. That is what this advice is for, because we want to win money. So yeah. So that's high-end flex. Let's work into the next tier. This next tier is called Old Reliable, for that in itself being the reason why they're in this tier. They are the set it and forget it kind of quarterbacks, the quarterbacks that you can't really depend on past 2 years from now, but they're going to give you points in this 1 to 2 year window. So if you're going to compete now, these are the guys you want on your fantasy football team, whether it be redraft or dynasty. This is kind of where the two worlds collide. You've got redraft, best ball, dynasty, everything into this one tier, and this is the kind of guys you want on your team, from expensive to cheap. Starting with Dak Prescott, who honestly, at 32 years old, is still producing at a QB1 rate, right? He has been a QB1 9 years in his career. That is enough for me to know I can rely on this guy. He's finished 21 and 14 in the last 5, but he has this trope of every other year, so I guess he is due for a down year. I would assume that he has up year again, and the trope is, killed, and that is done. We're going to talk about next Stafford, who just finished as the MVP and top 5 in Dynasty, and redraft and all that. In fantasy football in general, he finished top 5. I think he can have a top 10 finish this next year, because their offense is still going to be a top unit in the NFL. And I don't see that regressing too much. I think that he still has some tread on the tires. They're going to keep it protected. They've got a all-star monster in Myles Garrett, who's going to go into Canton. So that will help the offense, settle down and not have as many drives to hurt him, but also get your fantasy points. Next up, we're going to talk about another old reliable in Jared Goff. He's been a top 15 finish. He is in one of the best offenses in the NFL. He is also going to have one of the best schedules in the NFL. So I think he is set to produce at a high level. As you guys know, I am a Seahawks fan, so this next guy, he may or may not belong in this tier. He is at the bottom of the old reliable, okay? He is not someone that you're going to be clamoring, but he's someone you can get cheap in fantasy markets, and he is a QB2 in Superflex, and I'll take that all day. He finishes as a top 10 quarterback in Minnesota, so it's possible from the Minnesotan to Seattle. We are also the Super Bowl champions, so there is a chance with the new offensive coordinator we go to a different route and we just sling the rock all the time. Who knows? But he is in this tier. And then to round out this tier, we're going to talk about Daniel Jones, who's coming off Achilles. That's going to make it a little tough to kind of predict where he's going to land, but I could see him being a mid QB2. He finished 13th last year, even with injury, so I think he can produce at a decent rate where you can pick him up in like the 9th round. Hopefully, the 8th, 9th round is a good spot for him, and pricing should be fair for him. No one's going to be like, yeah, I can't give you Daniel Jones, unless they're like, let me hold off an injury. So let's talk about the next tier, which is kind of a fun tier, and that's the Upside Premier. This is going to be kind of a quick one and assessment. Tyler Shuck is an older prospect. He showed out in his first year when he was the starter once Rattler got benched. He has weapons in Olave and Jordan Tyson, which kind of tells me that they believe in this guy. They added Travis Etienne or Etienne. I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly because everyone says it differently, but I'm going to go with Etienne for now. And he is going to help as a receiving threat out of the backfield alongside the rookie wide receiver taking the top 10. They have shown they believe in this kid and that he is the future, at least for now. And Kellen Moore has been the swear word, we're going to just throw it down the field kind of guy over winning, which is great for fantasy and is great for Tyler Shuck. Next up is Cam Ward. He was the 101 in his respective draft. Yes, it was a weak class, but you do have Tyler Shuck and Cam Ward in that class. And Ward, if he can hone in on his timing, he's got another rookie top 10 wide receiver in Carnell Tate. He's got Ridley. He's got Wendell Robinson. He's got a Brian Daboll offensive coordinator. So they've got a lot of pieces around him for him to succeed this year. He's been a screaming buy low. I've got him on almost all my fantasy teams, and I've got him pretty damn cheap. Next up is Pure Projection. He is the 101 that went to the Raiders, Fernando Mendoza. He is a Heisman winner. He's the 101. He went to a bad team, but with some good weapons in Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. Wide receivers are a little weak in Jalen Naylor, Trey Tucker, Jack Besh. He may not start the year, but he is still the 101. He was probably the 105 in all your guys' rookie drafts, and he shows some value in Dynasty. Last up on this list is Ty Simpson. Who knows? They said that this pick is what solidified them being able to trade next year's coveted 27 first, along with other things for Myles Garrett. If Sean McVay and Les Snead believe in this kid that much, and they believe that he can develop into their future starter, then I'm gonna drink the Kool-Aid. Does he have the rushing upside? Absolutely not. Is his ceiling probably like a Jared Goff when he was with the Rams? Yeah, that is his upside. And honestly, Jared Goff, when he was with the Rams, was a top 10 quarterback twice. He was top QB2 3 years. So if that's his upside, I'll take that all day. When he is the 111 in rookie drafts, he is the 202 in some other ones. He is someone that you can trade late first if you're a rebuilder and you're looking at it like, all right, well, late first and 27 would be pretty equal to Ty Simpson. I don't really believe in some things. Let me just trade it for Ty Simpson plus. I can get maybe a 27 second and Ty Simpson for a 27 first if it's in the mid to late range. I'm not trading an early 27 first by golly for him, or even a mid. But if it's a late first and you're not a contender, somehow, if you've ended up in the situation, trade that first for a 27 early second or mid second and Ty Simpson. You get the best of both worlds for something low. So these last two tiers, the breakout or get out tier. I'm going to start with Malik Willis. He is the Dolphins quarterback, probably the worst offense in the NFL. He is going to be running around with his head cut off, so maybe there's some rushing upside. You can get him cheap. I've got him in the 9th round of my Dynasty startups. I've traded for him very cheap. Next up is CJ Stroud. He had a really good rookie season, and if he can get to the rookie season that he had, he has some fantasy relevance. He's shown that ceiling, but once again, it's kind of like a Jared Goff ceiling. He's not going to give you the rushing upside. He's going to give you the throwing upside. His ultimate, I'm not saying he will get to it, but his ultimate upside would be like a Joe Burrow type of fantasy production without being as good. Next up is Bryce Young, the small guy himself, not quite the Kyler small, but a little bit taller. They've given him all tall wide receivers. I think they're all like 6'3" or higher. So he can definitely see his targets downfield. He fueled Ted McMillan to 1,000 yards. So this guy can help his receivers get to fantasy relevance. Whether or not he gets to fantasy relevance is a different story. He's kind of just like a low-end kind of guy. Tua Tagovailoa has shown upside of dumping off his running backs and rushing and getting concussed based on it. But he can get you some fantasy points for cheap. Michael Penix, I don't think he's going to win the job. He is, his knees are mashed potatoes. I don't think he's going to have much fantasy relevance. He's kind of already a get out for me. That's why he's at the bottom of this tier. And finally, our low-end flexes. You got Jacoby Brissett, who's fighting for a contract, which is probably going to cause him not to be the starter. It's going to be Gardner Minshew or Carson Beck. They really don't care to pay him because they want that 101 and get a quarterback like Arch Manning, or even add another generational wide receiver and ruin him for fantasy at Jeremiah Smith. Hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully they go quarterback. But that's all I have to say about Jacoby. But when he was on the field, he was a top QB2. So he belongs on this based on last year alone. Aaron Rodgers, you know what you're getting. He is 40-plus years old. He is going to be slinging the rock to DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman. So he's startable. Hopefully he's your QB3. Shooter Sanders, he's young, unproven, drafted in the 5th round. Kind of overhated at this point. I think it's, we get it. We don't like his situation and his ego. But he's going to be the starter, in my opinion, over Deshaun Watson. And that's why he is not on this list. And then next up is Geno Smith. If he can show his Seattle Seahawks upside of QB 12 higher, but with the Jets, with those weapons, Garrett Wilson, Sidney, Omar Cooper, Breece Hall, he's going to be a relevant fantasy producer. Hopefully he's your QB3 and not QB2. And then finally, Kirk Cousins, the father himself of the NFL at this point. he is on this list purely because he could be the starter for the Raiders to start the season, so he's viable to be your QB3 on some teams if you're desperate, or if literally no one wants to trade for quarterbacks, like trade you quarterbacks, and you really need a quarterback 2 or 3, go get Kirk for a couple weeks, go get like a Justin Fields, get something, some value there for cheap. And yeah, that was my QB list. I hope you guys enjoyed. That is my Dynasty rankings and where I have them currently. This video hopefully ages pretty well. Maybe there's some things in here that you didn't know or helped you out. If so, leave a like, leave a comment, drop a comment down below if you're just here. If you're watching this point in the video, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for supporting this small channel that I hope to grow to something bigger. And honestly, I love you guys. I love the game of fantasy football, dynasty football, regular football, everything about football, college football, which is coming out soon. And I just wanted to throw this snippet at the end for those that might have made it at this point. I'm truly grateful, and that's why I do this, and I will continue to do this for years to come. Love you guys. Peace.